Hey guys, what is up? This is Mr. A. Crizzy here, and welcome back to another movie review. In this review, I'm gonna be reviewing the 2015 movie Ted 2, which is the sequel to Ted. Ted 2 was released on June 26th of 2015, and in this movie, life has changed drastically for Thunder Buddies John and Ted. And in this movie, John is now a bachelor, and Ted is now married to the woman of his dreams. Problems arise when the couple decide to adopt a child, but the law declares Ted to be property and not a person. Angry and dejected, the lovably foul-mouthed teddy bear must now seek help from a young lawyer played by Amanda Seyfried and a legendary civil rights attorney played by Morgan Freeman, and to get the justice Ted deserves. And then of course, the movie's final battle ends up in New York City and New York Comic Con. But yeah, that's all you need to hear for the story. So after watching the first Ted film, I actually watched this movie. I actually watched Ted 2. I actually watched the second movie on Netflix because this movie was actually first on Netflix first before it's currently streaming on Max. But for me, I watched it on Netflix before it left. So I gotta say, Ted 2 was actually a pretty good sequel to Ted. I guess I enjoyed this movie for what it is, for a good sequel to Ted. Excuse me. And I gotta say, Seth MacFarlane actually does a pretty decent job working on the sequel. And the performances were actually still really good. Like Seth MacFarlane, Mark Wahlberg, and Amanda Seyfried, and Morgan Freeman, and all that. Oh yeah, plus I almost forgot to mention, Ted's "I love you" function was actually voiced by Tara Strong. Yeah, Tara Strong actually provided the "I love you" function in Ted's his voice box, yeah. But then, of course, the real Ted is played by Seth MacFarlane, and I gotta say that this sequel was actually pretty good. I thought it was great and all, but I gotta say, I do prefer the first Ted a little bit more, since I gave the first Ted 4.5 out of 5. And one of my flaws I kind of do have with the sequel is that since the final battle, the last act of this movie takes place at a New York Comic Con. It kind of had me it kind of had me like a little, it kind of almost felt like a little too extreme for a sequel, because of course Donnie from the first movie comes back in this movie, and then of course he almost killed John near the end of the film, but of course John was faking it. But I mean, sorry for the spoilers and all that, but I just felt like I bring that flaw up a little bit. So yeah. But whatever, it is what it is. So how does the whole movie play out? Ted 2 actually played out as a pretty decent written film that also got a TV show on Peacock. Oh yeah, and speaking of the TV show on Peacock, I actually watched the show on Peacock, Ted, the prequel series to Ted, and I thought the Ted show was actually pretty good. I would give the Ted show 3.5 out of 5. Yeah. And yeah, but I will say, I think the movies are a little funnier. I gotta say, the movies are a little funnier than the show on Peacock as well. And yeah, and of course, Ted 2 was also the last time Mark Wahlberg played John Bennett, because on the show, Max Burkholder actually plays John on the show. And of course, he was also Rue on My Friends Tigger and Pooh, in case most of you guys didn't know. But yeah, and I remember when this movie first came out in 2015, I've been hearing some pretty decent things about it. I mean, the first Ted, it got good reviews, but this one actually got mixed reviews. It got 45%. But I mean, that's okay, because I still enjoyed this movie nevertheless. And I gotta say, even though the final battle is a little extreme for a little extreme for me a little bit. I mean, at least the New York Comic Con scene was actually pretty cool. Yeah, because that kind of makes me feel like one of these days me and my parents should plan on going back to New York City. But of course, the one Comic-Con I go to the most is the Baltimore Comic-Con, since that's in Maryland, where I live. Like Ellicott City, Maryland, outside the Baltimore area, but you guys get the point. So, and I gotta say, when it comes to the humor in this movie, when it comes to the humor in Ted 2, the humor was kind of decent as the first movie had. But I think the first Ted movie, I think it had way more funnier humor. And the pop culture references, they were referenced pretty well here, but not as much as the first Ted, like I said. And yeah. So aside from all that, overall, Ted 2 was a great sequel, nonetheless. And I'm going to give Ted 2 4 stars out of 5. And there you have it, guys. That's going to be it for this review on Ted 2. And that's going to be it for this video. So make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And as always, thanks for watching. And until next time, this is Mr. A. Crizzy saying goodbye, everybody, and that's about it.